Hi, today I'm going to talk about making a nishimi dish, which just is, that doesn't have to be complicated. Nishimi means waterless, so there's very little water. And what I'm going to do first is I've got one that's almost finished, and I'm just going to put a titch of tamari or soy sauce just in this end. You could put sea salt too. Okay, so that'll just be a few minutes and I'll turn that off and I'll show it to you afterwards. The dish starts with a kombu it's a great way to get root vegetables is what I want to say. So I have a whole bunch of root vegetables, and it starts with putting some pieces of kombu on the bottom of a pot. I've got a little bit of water in here. I'm making it in a big wide pot, so hopefully you'll be able to see it better. But this is the one I made it in. Depends on how much you're making. Kombu looks like this, and it's a sea vegetable. Some people call it seaweed, but there are vegetables in the sea. Not all seaweeds are edible. So this is kombu. It's amazing. Kombu, these are your minerals. Kombu is the most mineralized food. It's also beneficial to the kidneys. It reduces tumors. For those who have difficulty swallowing, like if you have little children who have difficulty swallowing, kombu is good for that. It will enhance the nutritional value of whatever you cook with it. You always use a piece of kombu when you're cooking your beans. It makes them more digestible. And it also breaks down the fibers, so it helps break down the fibers. So the kombu, you have to soak it in a bit of water, so that then I take it out. I'm going to take it out. Here. There we go. And I will just slice it up a bit in thinner strips, okay? And I'll put it right back in. Now, if someone doesn't want to eat this at the end, that's fine. It's already mineralized everything, made everything have a stronger nutritional value. When you cook it with beans, it just disappears with the beans, so you really don't have to worry. There. All right, so that goes on the bottom. Then what I do is, traditionally they say make layers, but I want to keep this simple so that everybody will try it. And this works just as well. Normally the traditional way would be to put the lighter vegetables on the bottom, then the round vegetables in the middle, and then roots like this at the top. But what we're going to do, and I've prepared some here, and I'll show you what I'm using. There's so many vegetables you can use. So just to make sure you know your vegetables, I've got a few here. You can use onion, red or yellow onion. Okay, so what I'm putting in first is rutabaga. And a rutabaga looks like this. It's got purple up here. And the difference between a rutabaga and a purple top turnip is look at the color of their skin. Okay, so this is a turnip. This is a rutabaga. It tends to be sweeter, although this dish will make them all sweeter. Okay, so I've basically diced up. The rutabaga takes a little bit longer than the purple top turnip to cook. So I've made those pieces a little bit smaller, and I'll group them in one area. And now we have the purple top turnip next to it. Oops, piece of kombu here. That's okay, I've got plenty in the pot. And there. Then what I've got is carrot, good carrots, and I've got some butternut squash. It's like a peanut, so it's butternut squash. Butternut or buttercup are my absolute favorites in the world because of the sweetness. And this is to get everybody to eat more vegetables, but especially children. So I'm going to put the butternut squash in right here. And they're all in their little groups. And then I have carrots. Put carrots in there. And then, and I'll talk about the vegetables in a minute as this slowly starts cooking. This back can now go off. I'll turn the front on. This is daikon radish. And normally daikon radish, this is, unfortunately right now they're selling it in pieces. which is like frustrating because I like to use, for the energy, I like to use the whole vegetable. So daikon radish is like long, okay, if you put these two together. And maybe it would be about, this one would be about that long. And so I can only buy it in bits and pieces right now. And I'll show you how I'm cutting, the different ways to cut. So now the daikon radish goes in. So I've got all my little groups, and then you have onion. You can put onion in. I'm going to put a little bit of red cabbage in. And what I've done with the red cabbage, before I put it in, I'll show you. So I had the full red cabbage. So I cut, I place it always on the cutting board like this, and I cut right down through the center, right? Then I quartered it, and then I'll go through the quarter one more time. And this will cook pretty quickly, so this will be bigger pieces. And you'll learn as you go. So that'll go sitting right in the center. So, and then you put just enough water to cover the bottom. It's half inch, no more than an inch. And you'll keep an eye on it as it's cooking. And I'll bring that up to the boil. Can you see this setup? Does the camera pick it up? You see it's all grouped. The rutabaga, the daikon, the squash, the carrot. Oh, that was the turnip, and this is the daikon and the red cabbage in the middle. So now I'll put a cover on that, bring it to the boil. That'll cook for about 20 minutes, and I'll either season it with sea salt, please not table salt, not like Morton salt or whatever those are called, because they have all the trace minerals stripped from them. So you want a good Celtic, fine ground, that would work. You can go for a good soy sauce, a good tamari. This is excellent brand. A good sea salt. You can go to Gold Mine, G-O-L-D, Mind, M-I-N-D, naturalfoods.com, and they will have good quality. Also good quality kombu too. Okay. So what we have now is I gave you an idea of the cabbage. Now, oh, what I didn't put in was the celery. Okay, this is a celery root. It just smells like a celery, everything. But this is before I took the skin off. It's all sort of, you know. So I cut the skin off that. Also, it's great grated into salad. Great raw, okay? Some of these are all good raw. Sweet potato I didn't put in. That's great raw. Rutabaga is great raw in salads, and of course carrot is. So now I'm going to talk a little bit while this is cooking about how just to cut some of these. This was basically rutabaga, remember, yellow, more yellow, turnip, more white. I basically cut them the same. Just cut through the middle, and if you only use half, you just use half that whole thing. And then I slice through that, and then separate it, slice through again, and then just like this. And I make these smaller, do the same thing with the purple top turnips, except make it bigger. The daikon, slice right through, that's Japanese radish, and it's not, when you think radish, it's not hot. It's not a hot radish. One thing about daikon, if you eat fish, is, you know how people serve lemon with fish? Well, you can grate daikon, raw daikon, and it has the same beneficial effects as the lemon does. Put a little bit of soy sauce or tamari with it, have it in a dish, and it does the same thing as lemon. Okay, so I slice through the whole length of that, and now I'm going to do what is called half moons. So you just slice through, and you have a half moon. Okay, so that's how you do daikon. The celery, all the round ones I cut the same. I just cut the pieces larger or smaller according to how fast they cook. This one would probably be smaller, like the rutabaga. Now, sweet potato, I didn't put it in. That's a nice taste to have in there. And remember, you can grate this raw into salad, and it's lovely. So I would just go right through the rutabaga. And I probably, where I can, half moon it. Just like the daikon, and just go through and half moon it. And just, it's sort of, I know it sounds strange, like cutting it different ways, but especially if you're getting people who don't eat a lot of vegetables, it makes it nice, makes it fun. Carrot is what's called a roll cut, and that's what I also do with the daikon. Any of the long ones. Parsnips, you can do that too. I couldn't get any parsnips. A roll cut is basically you're slicing through at an angle, like you're about to do matchsticks, and then you roll it, and you slice it again, and then you roll it and slice it again, and then you have pieces like this. And that's more fun, So I've talked about, how is this doing? Turn it up a bit. Get it. I miss my gas stove so much. It's okay, I'll have one again someday. Any cook who cooks a lot cooks on gas, but in this rental, there was no way to get gas in, and it was just, we needed the rental at that point desperately, and it was a great place for Bree, so that's always took priority. Now, nishimi dish is strengthening, it's grounding, it's warming. I think about the moms, when the kids get home from school. Well, if you had some hummus and you had a nishimi dish cooked, there's no reason that wouldn't be a great healthy snack for any child. Another thing is that I'm thinking about, now this one is done, so we'll do, and you always keep, because it's waterless cooking, always keep an eye on it, because you don't, now this is coming to the boil. All right, so I'll show you, let me take a rutabaga, how nice and soft that is. Okay, that's beautiful. Oh, God, it's good. I'm seriously meaning that's good. Naturally sweet, mineralized. Now, blenderized, for those that are blenderized, because Bree and I ate the same. When I see people that they put everything in a blender for their child, and that's it, and then just freeze it, and that's how the child eats, the family wants to have the same blood quality. So that separates. And I know this is getting more deeper into like the philosophy of foods and cooking, but I want to create healthy blood quality for my whole family. So what I would do with Bree's is then I would just take it and I would put it in like a Vitamix. Now you can order Vitamix on the Vitamix site, reconditioned. And all that means is someone bought it and returned it because they didn't, for whatever reason. But this is a reconditioned one, and it's much less expensive. And my last one, I had for, over 15 years, and it was still running when I gave it away to somebody. So, worth every penny. So what I would do is I just blenderize it, put it in here, add some good filtered water, okay, good water. Please don't buy bottled water in plastic containers because it's full of chemicals. I have this great little filter, real new thing, and the water goes through here, comes out here, and it's all filtered. I can carry that with me wherever I go, which I love. I can travel with that. Yeah. So here we go. Beautiful steam coming up here. So then, and tube-fed babies, if you're worried about, you need it thinner, add more water. You decide on how thick or thin it's going to be. And then, ideally, please, I prefer the fresh, because the nutrients are always higher first day, second day, third day. Bree, she would eat this for 3 days. When I first began, it was like fresh. Everything was fresh every day. But, after 30-some years, she was still eating the best food in the world. And in a pot like this, she's getting four different, 1, 2, 3, 4 in that one, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this one. So that's a good portion. You're supposed to have 10 different vegetables a day. That gives you a good portion. Then when it's blended, you put it in ice cubes. You know, when Bree was first born, that's how I did it, and freeze it. And you've got the best food, and also the cheapest food, and the highest quality, all organic. And then you can put it, then when it's frozen, you put it in separate little bags or containers, mark it what it is, and then that's root vegetable dish to add to everything else. But you know, when kids first start eating and they need soft food, I mean, this is a carrot that's just, they're not going to choke on that, you know? And so this is a heck of a lot better than a candy or a sugar. These are natural, God-given sweets to all of us. So this is a great way to get root vegetables into everybody. And if you're wondering about squash, I just thought about this. You know, the butternut squash was like this. I cut the bottom off so it'd be flat on the cutting board, and then I cut through the whole thing, right down. And then I would cut it like here. And then I'd put this on and I'd take the skin off this way. You can leave the skin on too, but it depends on what you're making it for. Cut the skin off this way, and then just nice big pieces. And of course you seed it, take the seeds out. But it's pretty easy. Always cut away from you like this. Okay, I just want you to make sure you're always cutting away from you. The other thing that's important is a really great cutting board. I love this cutting board. And some really fantastic knives. Now, a knife, these are personal choices, and as you change, as you get healthier, your tastes are going to change. When I started cooking plant-based, macrobiotic plant-based, it's easier for you to understand. I had a heavy knife about double this, because when I began, I was, you know, as a downhill skier, I had a ski school, I was a runner, and I was young. So I was like this, you know. So like I had a heavy knife and I was doing all the cutting. And then as I ate plant-based, and that you change, your blood quality changes within 90 days and you start changing. And over the years, I noticed my clothes changed, and I liked wearing more earrings, and you just change. And then I couldn't handle a heavy knife anymore because I was softening, you know. And now this is half of what this is. And even though I'd like to use this one, I am intuitively drawn to this one all the time. And I'll watch people come into my house and see which one they choose. It's always very interesting. But eating plant-based foods changes you and brings you back to your natural state in a way. And I watched when I was doing my studies, and Bree was with me at the Kushi Institute. And I was caring for her and studying at the same time. And I have such good memories of the Japanese people, how much they surrounded and loved Bree. And if I had to run to the washroom or something, I'd come back and she was surrounded by the Japanese students taking care of her and playing games with her, like hide and seek. You know, mommy's coming and they'd pretend that she was playing hide and seek. Oh, I'll never forget it. And one of my good friends, Hiroko, lived with us for 3 months, and just touched my heart. So this, you know, this is a great way to, because I'm sure you go to the market and you go, what do I do with these? You know, what do I do with these? Well, nishimi or wara is a root vegetable dish, and you know, try and do this, I mean, at least 4 times a week, just because it is strengthening and grounding. And in the winter, you know, as your vegetables change, summer and winter, you change up the vegetables. Like, I can't get parsnips right now. So when parsnips come in, I'll be cooking more parsnips. What else was I thinking? Sometimes I will make it totally of the daikon radish, especially in summertime. That's light and cleansing. So, vegetables are amazing as you get to appreciate them. And this is protein too, by the way. This whole thing that where's my meat, where's my meat? There's protein in all of vegetables, and some more than others. So you're not ever going to miss protein by eating more vegetables. And now it's interesting because years ago it was 5 vegetables and fruit that they recommended. And now already it's jumped up to 10 vegetables. And it's going to be even more. And I would, with Bree and myself, I would cook dishes. Every dish had vegetables in it. It was rare that a grain dish didn't have a couple of vegetables in it, because I was really pushing to get between 15 and 20 vegetables a day, which alkalines you. And vegetables are alkalining, and you want to be, that's less possibility for disease and colds. You want to be more alkaline. Meat, any animal product, is acid forming. So, if you're just going to eat meat, your body's going to be very acid and set up for disease. Another thing about this is variety. You want variety because by feeding yourself foods of a large variety of fruits and vegetables and grains and nuts and seeds, you create a body with a strong immune system. It's not overnight, but with time you do. And I watched Bree over the years. Yes, Bree passed away, at almost 37, but she lived 32 years longer than they ever thought she would. And people had no idea how fragile she really was. She didn't even have a cold the last 5 years. It's amazing she made it through the pregnancy. The pregnancy was horrendous. It took her 20 minutes to breathe on her own. So, and our foundation was the choice of foods. But it's a family, please, it's a family event. You do this, your child's not separate from you. They're part of you. You do all this with your children and teach them. If you really teach them and start to learn about the value of plant-based foods compared to the junk food and the fast food, because they're not buying the fast food for themselves, little kids, or they're not buying the candies for themselves. So, I think this is one of our biggest responsibilities. When you know better, you do better. And as I learned better and better and better, and I didn't start out. I started out with books and trying to figure it out, and now it's second nature. Now this is norm, my new norm. So please try a nishimi dish. This one's cooking away. Oh, it looks beautiful. The red cabbage will change, there will be red seeping into things, but to me it looks lovely. So remember at the very end, sea salt or a tamari or a soy sauce, okay? I'd say about a half teaspoon of sea salt, just so you know, okay? And it's delicious. And if your children are difficult and you want to start with just sweet vegetables, then just make it with the squashes, the carrots, the sweet potato, just make it first with just real sweet vegetables. But they're all sweet once they're made like this in a nishimi dish or waterless cooking. I think I've covered everything, and I'll probably think of something afterwards. But please try it, and try it on your children. And remember, this could be a snack with a nice hummus. Thank you very much.